Before we get into the video, do me a favor and close your eyes. Pokémon. Now that was probably really random, I know, but when I said Pokémon, what popped into your mind? If I had to guess, it was probably Pikachu, right? Maybe that was already in your head since you clicked on this video, but if not, there's a pretty good reason as to why that yellow mouse was the first thing to come to mind. Hey there, I'm Kamikaze, but you can call me Kai. Today we're going to talk about Pikachu, more specifically what makes it such an iconic character both in pop culture and the Pokemon franchise itself. I encourage you to watch until the end. You might learn something that you may or may not have known about our little buddy. With that out of the way, let's get right into it. So to start off, let's talk a little bit about the history of Pokemon and what led to the decision of having Pikachu chosen as the brand for the Pokemon Company. In 1996, Game Freak, the company that is responsible for the creation of the games out of Kyoto, Japan, released Pokemon Red and Green in Japan and Pokemon Red and Blue as we know them in the States. Unaware at the time that their game would explode into popularity rather quickly, Pokemon gained a large following because of the gameplay mechanics and creature designs that fans grew to love and appreciate as they played. Of those designs was Pikachu, the electric-type rodent that at the time was increasingly rare to find in the game, thus making it very coveted by players and fans alike. Japan grew very fond of the Pikachu character quite fast, and this made it one of the instant fan favorites of the franchise. Shortly after its release, Game Freak and Nintendo decided to go forward with a Pokemon anime, which would be done up by the animation studio OLM. They are responsible for the fame that made Pikachu into the Pokemon Company's mascot because of the choice to make everyone at home feel included. What I mean by that is, OLM had a difficult choice to make when creating the anime. As you may or may not know, at the start of your Pokemon journey in-game, you have to choose a starter to accompany you on your adventure, and in Red and Green you had the choice of 3 different Pokemon: Bulbasaur, the grass type, Charmander, the fire type, and Squirtle, the water type. While all these designs are loved by many, and in their own sense just as iconic, the problem was picking a starter that wouldn't make viewers feel left out, in the sense that if you picked Bulbasaur at the start of your game, and in the anime saw Ash pick Charmander, you probably would feel a little bit, well, upset. Ouch. Instead, the team at OLM decided to choose a starter that would instead appeal to their audience, while at the same time give the character a bit more spotlight. And this choice, of course, was where Pikachu came in, since, like we just discussed, it had already grown a large following within the country just from its presence alone. Though, believe it or not, there was actually another Pokemon that we might have seen take the stage as our mascot, none other than Clefairy, who was at the time also a bit of a star. Yes, that's right, Clefairy was indeed a candidate for the original mascot. The branding for the Pokemon Company might have been way different had OLM gone for this choice instead. But why did Pikachu end up getting the role as main actor? Well, let's take a quick look at the two side by side. We'll start with Clefairy. As you can obviously tell, it's pink, which, while it's an appealing color, it can often be seen as a feminine one, thus not really appealing to the male audience as much in terms of merchandising. The same can be said about other Pokemon too, since, for example, if a Pokemon such as Charizard was chosen, that would appeal more to the male audience since it's tougher and bulkier than Clefairy. Second, Clefairy itself, in terms of gameplay at the time, wasn't really as special. It was a normal type, since at the time there was no fairy typing in the game, it had no special moves or abilities, and it was seen somewhat as just another Pokemon to catch to complete the Pokédex. While that may seem a bit harsh, it's more to explain why Pikachu stands out more. And on that point, let's talk about it. As you can see, just from a quick glance, Pikachu's fur is bright yellow, and rightfully so since it was the first electric type created. Pikachu has a big electric bolt shaped tail adorning its backside, which will give you the indication on what the typing is. It has cute little rosy red cheeks, which are used for storing energy, but also give off the feelings of innocence since they almost look like blush marks. And to complement the yellow, brown and black are used as secondary darker colors to clash with the yellow, making the eyes naturally drawn to Pikachu's appearance. Pikachu appeals to both mothers and fathers, boys and girls, and shockingly at the time it seemed that more girls were fond of its design. It has a familiar and comforting appearance similar to that of a pet, and it's a bright primary color. At the time of its creation in the anime, the only other children's show that featured a yellow character was Winnie the Pooh. Yellow characters in TV are a big marketing campaign, as they naturally draw the eyes to look at them since yellow is one of the first colors that our eyes will naturally notice in an image. Yellow is the color that radiates optimism, clarity, and warmth. That's why you'll see characters like SpongeBob SquarePants or Homer Simpson with their bright yellow tones, and you'll naturally want to flick back to that channel. The same can be said about Pikachu, and of course, the sounds and cries that Pikachu makes in the anime and now the games themselves are arguably what draws it full circle. There's a fairly high chance that if you were to ask somebody, what sound does Pikachu make, they would do their best to imitate the that Pikachu is notorious for saying. And it doesn't matter what part of the world you're from, we all hear Pikachu the same. The original Japanese voice actor for the part, Ikue Otani, is the one largely responsible for that, since in Japan she's known for her high-pitched cutesy voices that have made her so famous. With Pikachu it's no exception. Ikue intentionally gives Pikachu a bit of a baby voice, all while using the character's name as its only way of expression or communication. Although Pikachu never says anything else along the lines of Pikachu or Pika Pika or something of that sort, you can still get the feeling that it's conveying something to you or trying to talk with Ash because of how well Ikue plays the part, between her enunciation and constantly recording new lines every week, just to make sure that Pikachu stays in character and remains so iconic all these years later. In fact, Pikachu even got its own version of Pokemon Red and Blue after the anime was originally released. The reception from the show was so positive because of this that it brought Game Freak to create Pokemon Yellow, a remake of the previous games that focused more on the story of the anime and had the player pick Pikachu just like Ash did. And of course, in these games, although they're a lot more compressed and static, Pikachu's voice is still present, just to add that much more to the experience. It's fairly clear to see that the world was eating Pikachu up and they just wanted more and more of it. To bring me to my final point, I briefly want to share a quote from an article I read about Ikue when she was discussing how she felt about becoming the voice behind Pikachu. Originally, all Pokemon were going to learn to speak in human dialect, or Japanese in this case, but this of course was scrapped during development. However, here's what Ikue had to say about all of that. Pikachu was supposed to learn a language, like a baby learns a language, and that's the way I was doing it at first. Then a few months later, the producers told me that Pikachu wasn't going to speak. At the time, I was disappointed, but because Pikachu doesn't speak Japanese, children all over the world can hear my voice, so it turned out okay. And the reason I love this quote so much is because it embodies Pikachu so well. Ikue loves the fact that her voice has made such an impact on children in every single corner of the earth. No matter where you go, the Pikachu in any other corner of the world is the same Pikachu that you and I both know and love from our home. Pikachu is more than just a symbol of the Pokemon series. It's a part of all of us. For some, we watched Pikachu in the anime grow with us as we got older and we both grew stronger. We caught our first Pikachu in Viridian Forest after searching for so much time with its rare 5% encounter rate. We talked to it when starting our first save file in Pokemon Yellow. We had a Pikachu of our own in the form of a plush that we could hold close to us when times were tough. But most of all, we've grown to know that little yellow mouse as Pikachu, the mascot of Pokemon, and what will forever go down in history as an iconic character in the gaming and anime world. Hey there, you made it to the end, and if you did, I sincerely want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. This was my first video, and while it probably wasn't perfect, I put my heart and soul into it just to hopefully make you feel a little better today. If you learned something or just enjoyed the video, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. If you really want to help, give the like button a tap and subscribe with that bell icon enabled to become a member of the Glaceon gang right here, right now. If there's something you want to see, don't hesitate to let me know. I'll be uploading videos on a frequent basis, and I would love to have you on the adventure as we watch the channel grow together. Until next time, I'm Kamikaze, but you can call me Kai. I hope you stay safe and have an amazing rest of your day. Thanks for watching.